This gentleman has claimed he has Ebola. You should clear the courtroom of all the prisoners.
This is Joseph Britton, and here is what he's charged with.
It's Mr. Joseph Britton in the courtroom.
42-year-old Joseph Britton's charged with battery, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest after an altercation with a restaurant employee. The dust-up ended with Britton licking his hand and putting it on the worker.
Right as the case is about to start, the judge sounds this urgent note of warning to this man.
Mr. Miller, I'd back up, and I'd back up pretty quick if I were you. May I see one of the deputies? Mr. Britton, take a step to your right.
Here's why.
This gentleman has claimed he has Ebola.
Oh, man.
The judge's statement comes as a shocker to the guards and the wardens, and the judge had no choice but to order this.
You should clear the courtroom of all the prisoners. Can you send them out in the hallway?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yo, wake up, man. Hey, get up. Take the females out that way.
A lockdown was instituted, and Britton was taken to the hospital to undergo testing. After some hours, the court is to reconvene, and the judge asks this.
You want us to start bringing them back in?
Well, wait. I'm a little curious about this. Has someone determined that the man does not have Ebola?
Well, they're taking the steps now.
Here's the answer to the judge's question, and the hearing ends on this note.
Turns out the whole thing was a false alarm. Britton's test results come back negative, and he claims he never told the arresting officers he was infected with the virus. The confusing episode doesn't result in any additional charges, and Britton is released the next day.
Michael Cox Jr. is on trial for this reason, and here are the charges against him.
The criminal trial of Michael Cox Jr. Authorities say Cox molested a young child while the two were alone watching television. He was charged with criminal sexual contact of a minor under the age of 13.
At the end of the trial, things take an unexpected turn.
As Deputy DA Scott Key, the man who just helped convict Cox, walks back to his seat, Cox unleashes his frustration.
This is what went down during the attack.
Cox lunges at Key, who makes a quick move before crashing into the podium. He takes a swing at Key as he hits the ground. Officer Katia Smith enters the courtroom just in time to witness the ruckus. She acts swiftly and attempts to restrain Cox. Key gets back on his feet and makes a run at Cox. But the melee only intensifies as a man from the gallery joins the fray.
Here's the judge's reaction to the event.
With his courtroom engulfed in chaos, Judge Ritter attempts to take control. He leaves the bench and orders the room to be immediately cleared.
After a while, this happens. And here's the outcome of the hearing.
With the confrontation now over, Key pulls himself together. He takes a moment to fix its hair and then straightens up the area, even putting a trash can back in place while Cox is cuffed and led away. Both sentences will run consecutively.
This case involves 4 people that have been pronounced guilty by a jury.
A jury has found Travis Davis, Brandon Banks, Kelvin Grimmage, and Keela Richardson guilty of killing Courtney London during a robbery home invasion 2 years earlier.
Because something unexpected may occur, this arrangement is made.
As an added precaution today, extra officers are on hand for the sentencing.
But something does occur as the judge is reading their sentences.
I've indicated that I would like to do is to have the gentleman hang on, Mr. Davis.
Suddenly, fists are flying.
This is how the chaos ensued.
It appears a court officer attempts to handcuff Travis Davis, but Davis refuses to cooperate.
Do is to have
Another court officer quickly jumps in to assist.
hang on, Mr. Davis.
Meanwhile, a third court officer attempts to handcuff Grimmage, but that doesn't go any better, and total chaos ensues. Richardson's already been cuffed and is ushered away from the melee. Davis's lawyer, Daniel Fernandez, isn't so lucky. With the situation seemingly out of control, another court officer steps in with a taser. Reportedly, all three men were tased, including Brandon Banks, who doesn't appear to join the free-for-all.
In an attempt to calm down the situation, this court officer orders this.
One of the court officers appears to instruct everyone to clear the courtroom.
Control is regained, and the hearing ends with this.
After the court officers regain control, Davis and Grimmage share some sentimental parting words.
Hey, mud, light. Mud, light, bro.
All four defendants were convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life without parole.
In this case, the defendant is accused of some brutal crimes.
So, Mr. Troiano's here on behalf of Mr. Woods. Mr. Woods is here in custody.
A jury found Terhane Woods guilty of child abuse by injury.
I'm going to go ahead and go forward with sentencing today. What's the state's position?
We want to warn you, the description of his crimes are disturbing.
This individual is extremely violent, and he's a ticking time bomb and a threat to anyone who's around him. And sadly, when the date of our offense, it just happened to be a small child. And that child almost lost his life. And this child had a perforated hole in his lungs that required medical intervention in order to save his life.
Woods interrupts the prosecutor and says this in his defense. However, the judge responds with this.
The child had no bruises on him, no marks, no wound to his liver, no nothing. When they took the child to the hospital, they started to stick tubes down the baby for a breathing problem that he never had and caused that injured.
All right, Mr. Woods. You got to let her make her argument, okay? Mr. Troiano's going to make an argument for you in a minute.
While the prosecutor is finishing up her statement, Woods interrupts again, but the judge nips it in the bud before he could go further.
Your Honor, I think a 3 to 10 is wholly inappropriate, and the state is asking for 8 to 20 years,
Not your turn yet. Hold on.
and I will submit it for that.
The judge then allows Woods' attorney to speak on his behalf. And here's his statement.
13-month-old child was body slammed and almost died. The jury found Mr. Woods guilty of that heinous offense, but at the same time, I think we all understand that Mr. Woods just, quite frankly, isn't on this planet. He's been suffering from psychosis and mental health issues since the age of 5.
Extra security is requested in the court due to this reason.
This was a violent case. There is a violent history. I do think you're a danger to the community, so
The security guards were right to be there due to this event that occurs as judge is reading his sentence.
here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sentence you to 96 to 240 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections on count 1. On count 2, I'm going to sentence you to 12 to 36 months to run consecutive to count 1.
So how many years is that?
8 to 20 plus a 1 to 3.
8 to 20 plus 1 to 3?
Correct.
So you mean to tell me
It takes many officers to try to subdue Woods. His mother is distraught, and with the situation on ground, the court officers ordered this. After the court is cleared, the hearing ends on this note.
Woods is eventually restrained, put in a spit hood, and wheeled into custody. No additional charges are added to his already lengthy sentence.